So this is going to be a recorded webinar. Once we get to the question and answer section, we will turn it off in order to make sure that people can ask honest questions without feeling like they will be eternally immortalized. Okay. And so our agenda tonight, we're going to start with the welcome, of course, member update. Then we're going to go into those 5 things that you should know. And then we're going to end with our awesome political and legal, political action and legal team leader. David Lee Brush is going to be here to answer any of the questions that you may have about what's currently happening in our state legislature. All right, so again, I will just start. My name is Heather Fleming. I am the founder and executive director of the Missouri Equity Education Partnership. Amber, what you
And
got?
I'm Amber Benj, and I am the co-director of MOEAP.
I would like to stress Dr. Amber Benz.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Amber Benz. Yes, and we would really, really like to welcome you here today. Again, we know that there are a lot of people who are feeling frustrated, who are feeling like, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, and we just wanted to give you a few practical tips so that you can begin taking action now. Okay. But first, we're going to begin with our member update. And so, Missouri Equity Education Partnership, yes, it's a team of individuals who take leadership, but we consider anyone who is on the side of equity in education, on the side of making sure that we have an educational system that benefits all students, that they are a member of MOEAP. And so, to update you just on what's been happening, we have a couple of things. Number one, we're really excited that we have launched weekly legislative updates. But the cool part is that these updates are short snapshots by David Lee uh, in order to tell us and keep us updated on what's going on. So we go through what bills are came up the previous week, the impact that MOE hopefully had on it, the work that you've been able to do to support us in doing that. And then we also have what's coming up for the following week. Okay. The next thing is that I believe this is going to be our 4th year. Yay. Our 4th year, we're going to have the equity scorecard. And so the equity scorecard will, of course, let you know where candidates for school boards stand as far as the issues are concerned. If you want to make sure that the candidates in your school district are listed there and part of the process, then I would encourage you to send the link, the survey link to your candidates. We will drop that by the end of the webinar so that you can do so. But yes, we encourage you to make sure that they complete the survey so that we can include their information. And anyone who has viewed it in previous years, you've been able to see the fact that our special projects team leader, Ken Sussman, makes sure that that scorecard is very accessible to people and that it has great information so that you know where people stand as far as equity is concerned. This year, we are not endorsing candidates. We are just simply providing this as an informational resource. And so make sure that once we release it, that you're keeping up with our social media so that you know exactly when we release it and that you're able to view that. And then more than that, share it out. But also, one cool thing is that 1 month from now, actually, on March 27th, we're going to have another Momentum webinar. But this time it's going to be about what to look for in a school board candidate. And so we're going to have some great people that are coming to let us know what what the characteristics of really great candidates are, but then also what you can be doing in order to make sure that those great candidates get on board. And then finally, we have our district captain leadership program. To describe that, that's basically a way for people who are concerned about what's going on in their school districts, and they want to learn more about how to organize. They want to be in community with other people who are organizing. They can join our district captain leadership program. Through that program, we provide them not only with information about how to organize, not only with assistance around creating an organizing plan, but also with resources and connections in order to make sure that again they can support the schools, their schools, and galvanize and create community within their school district and their area. All right. So that's a very quick MOE member update. I will be honest, it doesn't even scratch the surface of all of the things that we have going on and that we're planning and trying to do in order to make sure that Missouri is a more equitable place for everyone to live, to exist. All right. So, to what we're here tonight to talk about. We are here to talk about 5 actions that you can be taking right now in order to resist, to fight back. Um, we are consistently going to be advocating for equity. And what we mean by equity ends up meaning that every person in our society, regardless of their race, their gender, their sexual orientation, their religion, whatever is their identity, regardless of their identity, that they are able to thrive in America without the barriers created by discrimination. And so I'm going to go ahead and toss it to Dr. Amber. Look, I can't get enough of saying it, Amber. Dr. Amber
You
Benz.
probably said it more than I have.
I know. We're going to kick it to Dr. Amber Benz so that she can talk about action number 1.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and click. All right. So when we say stay informed, what we want you to do is make sure that you know the issues. So we want you to follow local and national education policies, and we know on the national level it's getting pretty gnarly. We have Linda McMahon, who is now the Secretary of Education. That's really hard for me to get out of my mouth. It really makes me sad. And we also have national laws that affect like our transgender students, our LGBT, our disability students, um, 504 plans, etc. And then we also have the local issues, and every state has a local educational issue, such as Texas is trying to reintroduce the voucher thing, even though that they did not pass it last legislative session, they're trying to do it again. And they're trying to use states like Missouri, Arkansas, Florida, Louisiana as an example, because the problem with Texas is that they are seeing that they're worried that their football programs will be affected. I mean, I get it. Like, of all the things that you're worried about that affects you, it's the football. So, um, of course, some of the states have gotten on there and let them know quickly that, yes, it actually does affect your football programs, because once your students leave one school and be recruited by another, or they can go to a private school, they can go to whatever they want to with these vouchers, it will affect your sporting programs. And then understand how these new laws impact the people in your communities, especially your teachers and your students and your parents. Some of these laws that they're trying to push through may not have a personal impact on you, but it does on your neighbor next door. Such as maybe you don't have children in school anymore. Maybe you are retired and your children have moved away. There are still things happening in your community, such as book banning, where they don't want certain issues discussed in schools or certain people represented in their classroom curriculum. And then stay updated on school board decisions and curriculum changes. Be very active in your school board. Show up. I mean, if you're not showing up, to the weekly meetings, show up once a month. They usually post their schedules. Most meet on like Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Very rare you're going to have a Monday or Friday meeting. But stay up to date, listen to what they're saying, and then challenge them when you find something upsetting. Share information. Talk to your family and friends and your community members about these issues that you're learning about, because it sounds a hell of a lot better coming from you, somebody that they trust, than they're getting it off of Twitter. Or I know I dead named it, but Twitter, Facebook, etc. Use social media to raise awareness and engage in constructive discussions. Now, there's a certain generation of people that have been on social media like their whole lives. For me, it started in MySpace. So I've been on social media since like 2001. So I have been there for like 23 plus years, most of my 20s, 30s, and now into my 40s. So even though you may not be on social media and you don't trust social media, it is it's a good way for you to get quick information out, or important information out quickly. And also because you have a family and a network of people that do trust you. So when you post something, make sure that it's accurate and you're raising awareness. I always find it as a good practice to cite your sourcing. So if you are stating something like they are trying to ban this book in this school district, make sure that you're linking what you're saying so they can see it. Um, because they're going to push back on you. That's not what was said, XYZ, but you can literally just post it and show them what is being said. Host or attend community meetings to spread awareness. This is where a district captain program comes really handy, because as a district captain, you can host your own community meetings and talk about these issues, especially for community members that may have jobs that are an off shift. So like second or third shift employees may not be able to come to school board meetings. But if you host a community meeting when learning, um, and you learn everything there, then you can take it to your network further. Even if you're working on second or third shift, you can still communicate what you've learned at these meetings, and you're a trusted person within the community. So use credible resources. It is so important that you use trusted news outlets for educational, I'm sorry, for trusted news sources, and you're looking at educational organizations and advocacy groups for that information. Do not post things on social media from um, easily, or I would say social media or media sites that are easily debunked. So sometimes Huffington Post can post some really gnarly half truths. Be careful. So AP News organizations like AP News, Reuters, um, BBC, NPR, those are usually your credible sources. Be cautious of the misinformation and fact check before you post. We've all been guilty. I think probably everybody in this Zoom chat. We've all been guilty of maybe once or twice posting something where it was not quite 100% the truth. It's important to make sure that you are fact checking and that you're doing that before you share. And that goes with your community groups too. Check your information before you're even sharing that within your community. Follow organizations like ours at MOEAP, ACLU, and other local education groups. And then debunk misinformation. Challenge the false narratives with facts and verified sources. I know it is like hitting your head on a brick wall sometimes, because you're like, I have told them every fact and every truth, but what you cannot do is stop telling the truth. Once you stop telling the truth stops existing. So you keep on telling the facts, no matter what it is, no matter how aggravating it is, and encourage people to think critically and ask, where did this information come from? You ask, where did this information come from? Every time you see something, even if your Aunt Janet from Florida posts something, where did she get that information from? Ask. And then stay respectful but firm in discussions. It's been hard lately to stay respectful. I get it. I'm guilty of it myself. But do the best you can to stay respectful, because again, will they'll turn those words back on you. Um, Heather, there's some people that cannot get in if you want to check real quick. So credible sources to keep informed. If you guys want to just take a screenshot or take a picture of this and then you can have it. I do have links, but we can send those out after the Zoom. But these are some really good information sources. So you have things like the Missouri Equity Education Partnership, which we post a lot of well-researched and vetted materials. The Education Trust, this is an equity-based organization, and they do a lot of educational materials. And then as you can see, I'm not going to read these all off to you. The credible media and fact checking is important because regardless of what you're looking up and what topics you're looking up, you want to make sure that it's coming from sources that vet their material and have the journalistic integrity to uphold the standards of what that means. So definitely your AP, PBS NewsHour is excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And then ProPublica, factcheck.org, PolitiFact, all of those are your fact checking sites. The last thing I have on there is Snopes, and I think it just got caught off. But Snopes gets argued with a lot because people think that it's that Snopes is even fake. So use it sparingly. You have other options to fact check your sources. Yep.
My apologies. I'm trying to ensure that other people can get in as well. And so let me go to our next slide. So the next one is organize. Okay. And I wanted to triple stress it. Organize, organize, organize. Now, I know that for a lot of people, they think that organizing looks like what we do, what I do, what Amber does, what David Lee does, but organizing is a lot of different things, okay? And so, first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that right now, our best chance to influence um, individuals to vote in an equity, well, I don't even want to push voting, but to begin thinking in an equity based way is to talk to them at the local level, okay? Because when we start talking about national politics, we can get into a lot of abstract things, right? But people understand, hey, my local mayor is not making sure that my trash is picked up in my neighborhood. Why is the trash not picked up in my neighborhood, but is picked up in this neighborhood over here? They can understand those things. And so begin organizing at the local level. Um, Next is that you want to make sure that you talk about issues that have a direct impact on individual households. All right. So, again, maybe talking about some abstract aspect at the national level will not have any type of will not get any type of traction. But if you look at what is going on in your neighborhood, in your area, in your school district, then those are the things that do have an impact. And so start talking about those things. You know, Amber mentioned just a second ago, making sure that you're giving verified facts, but also give facts that really have a direct impact on people that are there in your area. Um, the big thing that if we're going to organize at the local level, that it does is that it builds community. And I can tell you that the research shows one of the best ways to begin combating authoritarianism is through building community, making sure that people have connections to other people and that those connections, that they understand that those connections are essential, that they are necessary, but more than that, that they're inevitable. We are all interconnected with one another. And so if we begin to actually build those connections up to make them stronger, then that helps in the fight as well. And then the next thing is to build coalitions. Sometimes those coalitions, you're going to have some issues that you may disagree on. But in the end, if you can get someone on board with this particular issue, who, yeah, I disagree with them on three of, a couple more issues, but 80% of the time, or however, a majority of the time, we agree on this particular issue. Now you can begin to build coalitions with individuals so that they can, again, feel accepted. And then in the end, that also helps to build community, right? Because we're all going in the same direction and we need to respect that. Next is protect one another. So address the needs of the most vulnerable members of our communities. Because if we're going to be honest, the way that they are able to um, gain traction with the majority is by attacking the minority and making it so that we can, well, we all agree that those people over there are the problem. The the issue with that is that once they get done attacking those people, they're going to continue to move. I think of the Martin Niemöller poem all the time. First, they came to for the Jews, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a Jew. But as we all know, eventually in that poem, he says, "Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." And so the way to begin to stop this is to begin speaking for the people that they're attacking first, even before they get to us, even if we don't know anyone that's part of those communities. We still need to protect the most marginalized members of our communities. And then work with organizations or programs that focus on equity. Um, of course, I'm going to always advocate you all working with MOE because we're pretty great, if I'm going to be honest. But if your issue is not necessarily aligned with MOEP, it's aligned with something else, there's another issue that you're really passionate about, then reach out to organizations that are working towards advocating for those issues and begin working with them. And then listen and learn. It's really, really important for you to listen to individuals who are leaders and subject matter experts in the particular area in the work that we do. All right. Yes, we're going to begin to hear a lot of voices flooding the airwaves, I guess we can say. But when we really think about it, we need to listen to people who have been in this work, who are established, and who know what they are doing. And sometimes that means even not necessarily listening to me for a specific issue because I'm not the expert in that issue, but looking to see who are the people that we can look to in order to have a voice and have leadership. And then listen to um, and follow leaders in marginalized communities. And I really always want to stress the fact, please listen to members of marginalized communities that other members of that community also follow. And I use Candace Owen as a prime example. If you follow Candace Owen and you say she's speaking for Black people, no, she is not. She is speaking for white supremacy. And so what we have to do is look for the people that other members of that community follow, listen to, respect, and um, and support. Okay. All right. Amber, did I lose Amber? I think I might have lost Amber for just a second. So the next one is stand up and speak out. RBG is known to say, use your voice even if it shakes or something, similar to that. That is what we should be doing right now. And so when we're looking at standing up and speaking out, why it matters, your voice has power. If your voice didn't have power right now, they would not be trying so hard to silence people. However, silence enables injustice. And so You have to be speaking out. Now, I will be the first person to let many of you know that speaking out will have consequences. And what I mean by that is that it might mean that, like, if your neighborhood is predominantly supporting the other side, it might mean that you're not invited to the neighborhood cookout. It might mean that people, throw trash in your yard. There's community-based consequences a lot of times when you're attempting to stand up for what is right, even if the mainstream, the majority it may not be going in that direction. Do it anyway. Be brave. All right, Amber, I'm gonna let
Yes.
you take it over.
Sorry, my internet keeps going down. I had a hot spot in my own house. Isn't that crazy? Um, so we need you to speak up and support students and educators and communities against discrimination. And nothing will happen without you saying stop. Nothing. We need a community of voices to speak out. And like we've been saying for the last 30 minutes, even if it's not directly affecting you, please speak up and help protect those vulnerable people. And then change starts when you take action together. So let's say Philip decides that he wants to go to a school board meeting and speak up about a certain thing, like they're banning books about brown bears. So he's going to say, Katie, come with me. And Katie's going to jump along. And then together, you're forming this group of people that it's not as scary to speak up when you have a group together and doing it in tandem. And sometimes people get exhausted from speaking up all the time and putting themselves out there. But if you're with a group of people, you can push one another or stand behind, stand beside. And Heather uses the analogy of the choir all the time. A choir, whenever it's a hold, say it, Heather, when you hold the note, I can't remember. It's the choir analogy you use all the
Right.
time.
When you have a choir, in order to have a sustained note, what you have to begin doing is to stagger your breaths. And what that means in terms of this type of work is that that means staggering your rest. So when you are tired, take rest and allow other people to hold a note for you. And then when you've had that brief moment of rest, then you join back in and you allow someone else to rest. And in that way, the work can be sustained.
Yeah. So how do you take action? Well, first, we've talked about we need to challenge harmful narratives. You need to correct misinformation when you see it. You need to be the advocate for truth. If nobody else is advocating for truth, you be the truth advocate. Attend the school board meetings and community meetings, and you push for equity focused policies, but you need to voice your concerns. There are so many times that politicians, especially at your local and state level, will say, well, I have never heard any one of my constituents say they didn't agree with that. Make them a liar. Tell them. Tell them you don't agree with that. And support impacted students and educators. Offer solidarity, mentorship, and allyship. Um, Even if you do not have a child in the disability community, advocate for children with disabilities. They need people there with them. And it cannot always be the community affected that does the advocacy. It has to be the community that surrounds them that does the advocacy as well. Use your platform. Some of you have large platforms and networks. Use your platforms and networks. Speak up. Use those. There's a reason why you have them. Use them. Email and call and email the lawmakers. Call the school board. Call the your state legislator. Call your county council. Let them know that you are not going to tolerate these things, or tell them that ask them the question like, why are you not supporting this? This would be a benefit to the community. Why are you supporting this? This is going to harm these people in these ways. And then, so a call to action for standing up and speaking out. Speak up when you witness injustice, and we keep on witnessing injustice almost daily. Speak up, say something about it. Join local advocacy groups. MOEP's one of them, ACLU, Promo. Gosh, there's so many across the state of Missouri. Join them. Start conversations that inspire change. Even in if you're like sitting at a table with your girlfriends or guy friends on a Friday night, start a conversation. Have that conversation with your group of friends. That is advocacy too. Advocacy doesn't always mean going out with a protest sign. Advocacy mean having a thoughtful discussion at dinner. So what is a tactic that you can use to push back? And several organizations such as MoveOn.org, ACLU, and Indivisible champion a tactic called bird dogging. And we all know what bird dogging is, and we just didn't know this is what it was called. So it's your pursuit is to pursue with a dogged determination to seek out, follow, detect, act, and then act again. So you're seeking out Josh Hawley. And with a dogged determination, you're going to act on something that he may have said or done. That means you're going to call him out. And you're going to keep doing it over and over and over again. I know there's several people here that I know personally that keep calling offices every single day, asking the same question, demanding an answer every single day. And this means even going to your town halls, um, asking about specific issues that you care about and pinning them to get a response. Next slide, and then we can go, how do we do that? So your goal is to force this response, and you need to get, and that response is to get those issues covered by the press or media. There's some things that the press and media just won't cover. It's just not a story for them. They don't find it's maybe they feel like it's not a big support, a big deal, whatever, but you want to get those issues on the media. So the more you push back and the louder you are about it, the chance and the opportunity to get on the media increases. Encourage others to get involved and join campaigns and organizations to build coalitions. So um, this when people see you pushing back against legislators and being openly asking questions, and this doesn't mean necessarily being rude. In some instances, bird dogging can get to that point, but it's about asking the specific questions. And once you see people asking the questions and they've been rattling in your mind for like 2 weeks and you couldn't wait, and maybe the ACLU stood up at your meeting, or MOEP, a representative, or somebody from like the Gateway Coalition, or whatever that is. They stand up at the meeting and you go, oh my gosh, they think like me. They're saying the same things that like me. Maybe I need to go talk to them and see how I can help their advocacy in their organizations. And then it helps build a bigger coalition to amplify the um, the reason why that you're there, the answer that you want. It's easier to get when you have a big coalition together. And this is also to catch them in corporations are people moments. If anybody remembers that from Mitt Romney's run for president, people had their cameras out and they kept asking him questions over and over again. And finally, he said what he felt, which is corporations are people. And eventually, these politicians will say what they feel, and you'll have it on camera, and you have it as a as a record of their stance. And then elevate the profile of your organization so people know who you are and what you do. So you're here tonight for MOEP, and now you know what we do. But we also want you to be in community with maybe the somebody in Potosi, Missouri. If you have like a small coalition of folks, go out there, advocate together, and that elevates your profile. And then there's two examples, Heather. I don't know if we have time to even play them or not, but there's two examples of bird dogging.
How long are they?
I think one's just like 30 or 40 seconds, and one might be like a minute or so.
Okay, let's see if we can get it.
Okay. Okay, so this is when Kavanaugh was being I guess, vetted or whatever to be the Supreme Court justice. And this woman, this is a different type of bird dogging where you actually follow the legislator around and demand an answer. You keep asking it over and over again, and maybe get into a corner with them in an elevator or at a rope line or something like that, and demanding the answer, and then actually explaining yourself and saying, this is why this hurts. So go ahead, Heather, if you can.
Oh, wait.
What you are doing, allowing someone who actually violated a woman to sit in the Supreme Court. This is not tolerable. You have children in your family. Think about them. I have 2 children. I cannot imagine that for the next 50 years, we will have to have someone in the Supreme Court who has been accused of violating a young girl. What are you doing, sir? I was actually calling you. Nobody believes me. I didn't tell anyone, and you're telling all women that they don't matter, that they should just stay quiet because
Okay.
let me tell you
So what you can see is that there is media all around. She's telling, like, you're saying that you're telling women, Pete, that they do not matter when you do this. And they're really hammering it home, and they're asking him questions, and they are yes or no questions, and he is not responding. But it's all on film. It got media attention. And then the second one is the recent town hall.
You probably can't do that.
Okay, I was going to say and you've probably already seen it. It's the recent town hall where she says, "What are you going to do with the megalomaniac in office?" And the whole crowd cheers. That is part of bird dogging. That is a direct question. What are you going to do about it? And then he circled around, the crowd booed and held him accountable. If you go to the next one, this is tips. I think it's tips. And so here's the helpful tips on how to do this. Recruit a team. Put your team of people, like even if it's a small, let's say school board meeting, and they are doing something that you're like, oh, no, 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 this is completely wrong. Get your team together, sit somebody up front, somebody on the sides, somebody in the back. That way you're positioned all through the room. You need to make eye contact with the person or people that you're trying to talk to. Make eye contact with them so they notice you. When they're doing their speech, you just follow them with your eyes, be respectful, smile, and try to get their attention. So whenever there is a question, such as a political town hall, if there is a question and they allow you to, just ask, raise your hands, things like that, their eye contact will come to you because you've been smiling and looking at them the whole time. However, if they dismiss you, it doesn't look like you have a whole group of people there to just disrupt the whole thing. There are people peppered all through the crowd, and they can't pinpoint where the group is because it's all dispersed throughout the group, through the meeting. Research the target schedule and community events. When I say target, I mean this is the person that you are trying to ask a question to get an answer from. So unfortunately, one of our Congress people in the St. Louis area will not put their schedule out for their town halls, which they never have, or community events. And so if you, I see Jill laughing, I think they know what I'm talking about. If you see, this is where your group of people come in really handy, is that you're going to have people in the knowledge circle that will want to help you with those schedules. Have a plan and prepare questions in advance and ask them early and often. Attend the event and get there early, spread out. It's okay to be visible or noticeable. You can have signs. If you have a sign, make sure it says something on the front and the back, and it's the same message, because you want people in the front to see what you're saying, but you also want people behind you seeing what you're saying too. Take video and take notes. Video and notes are very, very important because you can't hold people accountable and spread that message everywhere if you don't have the record of it. Notes are important so you can take it back and do a debrief afterwards. Seek out the press, call the press in advance, say, hey, come out to this town hall. We got a whole bunch of people that are going to ask some really important questions, and I think you should be present for it. The thing you need to avoid, Don't ask softball questions. Don't ask something that people can wiggle out of. Ask the important questions. Usually they are yes or no questions. Don't give up. If you don't get it the first time, show up. Keep showing up over and over again. And don't forget to break this down after you're done. Heather, sorry.
No problem. So action 4, use your economic power. We'll try to make this as quick as possible. With boycott, right now there's a lot of national boycotts going on. In fact, there's one that's going to be going on tomorrow, and so you can choose to join that. But if you can, exercise sustained boycotts of businesses that are counter to what you believe in and what you support. And then be aware of those businesses and products that have complied. Because if you boycott one business, but you still go and buy products from another business of a company that has complied, then you're still giving money in one way or another to the opposition. And so be aware of that. Support local businesses whose owners align with your values. Direct family and friends to those businesses as well, and then donate to local organizations fighting for rights. And I really want to stress that if you are able to, whatever you're able to donate, please make sure that they're with smaller organizations, because like MOWE, we don't get big grants. We don't have big grants. And so the funding that you give us, the donation that you give us, goes really far to supporting what's going on here in Missouri, much further than it would supporting an organization that's already getting 1 million, 2 million, however millions of dollars in grants and funding already. And then support marginalized people. And so pay special attention to businesses that are owned by members of marginalized groups, because as we look at economic impacts, the reality is that these are the people that are going to be most impacted. Okay. And then finally, 5, protect yourself. Amber.
I'm gonna go over it quick. So I need you to prioritize your mental health and your emotional well-being. This is going to be a long fight. This isn't a quick one. This is going to be a few years, if not more, of a fight. So you need to protect yourself. Limit your exposure of distressing news. Do not doom scroll. Stop it. Put your phone down. Go find some funny cat videos. Do not do it. But you need to stay informed. Once in the morning, once at night. That works pretty well, because you can get what you missed while you were sleeping, and you can get what you missed while you were at work. Engage in activities that bring peace, like reading, meditation, and time outdoors. You have to take time for yourself. Find joy in connecting with others. Be with your friends. Be in fellowship with people. And seek help from family, friends, and mental health experts. If things are getting a little bit rougher than you've anticipated or have ever experienced before, you need to reach out for help. Stay safe in your activism and advocacy. Protect your digital presence. Go to your social media sites and go to your settings to make sure that your passwords are secure and that you are being mindful of what you share that's personal. Also, make sure you're mindful of who is following you on your pages. If attending protests or rallies, have a safety plan, know your rights, bring essentials. Personally, when I do protest or rallies outside of the MOEP organization, I always do a safety talk the night before. Connect with like-minded individuals for support and collective action. Next one is navigate difficult conversations, know when to engage and when to step away from heated debates. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. It's so hard. But at some point, it's just not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your energy. If they're not listening, walk away. That's it. You don't have what are you going to gain from it otherwise? Use facts and empathy to communicate, but you don't feel obligated to change someone's mind. You can, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's like a brick wall sometimes, and you've done everything like the most empathetic messaging or anything like that, and they're still not there. They're not going to get there. Walk away. And set boundaries for those that drain your energy. And that could be your family, and that could be your friends, and that could be your neighbors. Just set a boundary.
Oh,
Yeah, they're fine. Take meaningful action without burnout. So focus on small, manageable steps. So I'm going to go to dinner with friends and I'm going to have a conversation. That's something that you can do. It's small, it's manageable. You can do it. Support organizations that align with your values. Once you get involved in organizations that are aligned like you, it takes some of the, I guess, the emotion off of you because you're sharing that emotion with everyone else. And you can see you're not alone. There are other people that are thinking and fighting right with you. And remember that self-care is not selfish. You have to care for yourself before you. RuPaul says, if you don't love, if you can't love, let's see, how are you gonna love others if you can't love yourself, basically. It's essential for sustainable activism. Heather.
All right. So we ran through a lot of information, but I think that ultimately the message that we really want you to take away is that not only should you do something, but you're capable of doing something that is really important and really essential to this fight and is going to take everyone. And so if there's anyone that's making you feel like, well, what is, what is it that I can do personally? Whatever I'm going to do is going to be small. No, because right now when you are looking at Amber and you're looking at me, you're looking at two people that just decided one day we're going to do something. David Lee joined on board and she just decided she's going to do something. And those things, as we think through them, we're a group of teachers. Or should be, at the heart of everything, we're a group of teachers. And we just went with what was intuitive. And that has led to an organization that is really making a difference here in Missouri.